Hi everybody, this is Philip Martin. This is On Film on Video. We're doing a little bit different this week. I moved down the hall from the studio to the office. Okay, I'm in the office now, not the studio, because the computer where I film this usually is just really overloaded with things. I've got a screener up for God Said Give 'Em Drum Machines, which is a film that's going to be at the Arkansas Cinema Society this Sunday, and I'm going to be there. I'm going to be doing the Q&A with the director and a producer of the film. I'm going to watch it in a minute. I'm not going to say anything about it until after I watch it, but it's up, and I've also got all my editing stuff up, and so it's probably better that we not try to run that the program in there and film the video in there, because we probably would get herky-jerky and sound not synced, and Nick would have to do a lot of work to fix that. So I'm just going to shoot this on my iPad. I don't expect the sound quality to be as good as it would be in there, but who listens to me for sound quality? I don't know. Okay, here's the deal. I wanted to talk a little bit about our mission here and what we try to do. It's a good week to do that. It's Arkansas Cinema Society Filmland Week, and Filmland's a great thing. But Filmland has a very specific mission. It's not the same mission as the Little Rock Film Festival, for instance. And we have done a pretty good job in the state kind of picking up the slack for the Little Rock Film Festival, because we've got all these film festivals around the state now, like the just concluded Fayetteville Film Festival, which Al Topic writes about this week, and I'll talk about Al in a minute. And you know, but Filmland is something different. Filmland, I guess, is pretty much a fundraiser to kind of fund the programs that the ACS does throughout the year, and a lot of those are educational. They've got a lot of workshops this week, but they've got ongoing, programs for young filmmakers, for women filmmakers, for girls making movies, and all this stuff is very admirable and stuff. It's just not the same thing. It's not the same thing as a film festival where you have, like the Hot Springs Documentary Film Festival, you have like 3 movies to choose from, or 2 movies to choose from. You can move from one to the other, and you got films all day. Here we have a party, reception, a film screening, and then an after party, and you do rinse, repeat. You've got some panels and workshops attached to that. It's a different sort of thing, and it's a good sort of thing. It's a good thing to have. I'm happy to be involved with it. I'm happy to be, but it's not going to be a replacement for the Little Rock Film Festival. It's a different thing. It's actually replaces part of that film festival, and we've got to take up the slack other ways. Okay, the first movie that they're showing on Saturday night, we've talked a little bit about this already, is Empire of Light, and I like Empire of Light. I think it's Sam Mendes' film. It's very beautiful. It is a movie that could be like, you could compare it to like Cinema Paradiso. There are parts of it where it's really just about the pure love of cinema and about nostalgia for the places where we watched our movies back in the day when we were watching movies in movie houses and not on our watches or whatever. It's set in an old movie house. Not one of these old grand ones from the 40s or 30s or 50s, but one that was probably built in the 60s or 70s. But it's still a grand place, and it's a really nice movie. Now, there's problems with this movie, and that it's shifts in there's some really drastic shifts in tones. Don't really bother me. It's just sort of things I notice, and it sort of keeps it from being the top echelon of films I've seen this year. But there's still a lot to enjoy about it. And Olivia Colman is just, a brilliant actor. And Mendes has a really nice way of presenting this material to us. I mean, it's, the whole thing is beautiful. I just want to get in the spirit of going to see the movies, this would be a great film to see. I really love the scene with Toby Jones, one of my favorite actors, where he's showing a young man around the projection room and explaining how cigarette burns work and all this sort of thing. It's very much a freighted movie for those of us who remember that sort of theatrical experience. And it's set in 81, I think, 1981. You can tell by the movies that are coming out. And it's a joy. It's then Sunday night we got Drum Machines, which is the movie that I'm going to watch. But I'm very interested in it. I'm very interested in movies, documentaries that take looks at subcultures that I'm not really familiar with. And you'd think I'd be familiar with this because, as some of you know, I've been a music journalist on top of everything else since the 70s. I've written about, well, since 74. I have written about music in one capacity or another. I'm a musician myself. But there are nobody's a Renaissance person anymore, and there are things you don't know about. When you say techno to me, when you talk about techno, I think about Giorgio Moroder, and this work with Blondie and Diana Summer and that sort of, and I think of Kraftwerk, the German band, and I think about, Yellow Machine Magic, whatever that was, the Japanese band. I think about these groups from the 70s that sort of used synthesizers and, programmed rhythms and things like that. Now, I know that there's a thing called techno, and I've heard some techno, and I know there's this thing called house music, which comes out of Chicago, and I knew this came out later, but I don't really know much about techno, and I've read a little bit about it these last few days. I haven't watched the movie that I'm going to talk about on Sunday night yet, which is kind of scary to me, but it's also kind of exhilarating because I watch the movie and I'll have ideas and I can ask the director and the producer and we can have a conversation. Maybe I'll ask some questions that the audience might have, and we might be able to take it in a different place. But, my understanding of techno is that it's derived from these European guys. But the thesis of the movie is that really techno starts in Detroit in the early 80s and then gets, sent to Berlin and adopted there. And I think that I'm sort of not wrong. I don't think I'm wrong. I think we're going to come to some sort of common agreement when we watch the film and when I talk to the folks. I think it's going to be like okay, Muddy Waters is to the Beatles, is what Kraftwerk is to these house musicians in Detroit. And it's going to be kind of an interesting thing because, sort of like our blues and rhythm and blues went over to England and came echoing back in the form of the British New Wave. I think there's a similar dynamic at work there. I don't know because, like I said, I haven't seen the film yet, which I've got up on my computer and it's all ready to go. We're going to take a look at that later. Okay. Now, I want to give you just a peek behind the scenes here. Like I said, did I tell you that Armageddon Time, we had a review all set up and then our reviewer got sick, which happens. And so he didn't see the screening, and we don't have a review anymore because there wasn't a backup screening anyplace else. So nobody else got to see it. I'm seeing it Thursday night, and I'm going to go on Philip Van Price's Movie Tavern show. What is it? Initial reaction, I think. I'm sorry, Philip. I should have looked it up before I got on here. But I love going on that. It's a really cool YouTube thing. You should look it up. Philip Van Price, Movie Tavern, Initial Reaction. Go see it. Once we professionalize this video, I will have Philip on here, and we can talk in this space, in this digital space. But I've been on there a couple times. It's always been fun. He's very interesting, and it's fun to watch the movie and then just talk about it. It's like a very organic way of talking about that. I also think I'll be talking about Banshees, which is back in theaters this week, and you should see it. It's at Riverdale for sure, maybe someplace else, which is the funniest and saddest movie I've seen this year. And that's from somebody who actually did like Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. And nobody else liked that movie. I liked it. I didn't think it was the best movie, but I liked it fine. What else have we got this week? Well, I talked to you a little bit about Al, and Al's doing a great job covering the local film scene, which is one of the things that's not really in our mandate. I really do not think that it's not in our mission statement. When we started, or when Karen Martin started this section back in the 90s, the point was for it to be a critical section. It was going to write about the movies, about movies that were showing in Arkansas, movies that we were seeing. But in the interim, from 1999, 1998 to now, we've actually had this burgeoning film community sort of spring up, and part of that was the Little Rock Film Festival helped it along. Part of that is the film program over at UCA. SAU also has a nice one, I understand. And everybody can go down to Best Buy with their grandma's credit card and get everything you need to make a movie now. I mean, it didn't used to be that way. It used to be that the only artist who couldn't afford his own tools was the filmmaker. But now everybody can make a movie. And everybody does, it seems like sometimes. So, we've been trying to cover that for years. Levi Agee, who's now at Arkansas PBS and is a great guy, wrote a column for us years ago about, the Little Rock film scene, the Little Rock, Arkansas film scene, and about projects people were doing and what they were shooting and, just different things. And he was really good. He was really wired. And we have missed that since he left us. And he left us, I think, because we couldn't afford to pay him anymore because we had, 2008, and it's like, before 2008, we probably had 5 people working on a section, more than we do now. I mean, we've got me and Joe Riddle and Emily Guest and Elizabeth Atkinson and Stan Denman, who's our page designer, and a few other contributions. And then we have some freelancers like Dan Leibarger and Piers Marchand, Keith Garlington, and our latest, Al Topic, who writes about the local film scene again. And Al's doing such a good job. He's got 2 pieces in this section, and I've got to kind of rein him in. He can't really have 2 pieces every week because we've got to push somebody out if we do that. We can't do that every week because usually you're pushing me out, and I'll put up with that for a while, but not forever. So we've got Al back online, and we're doing more in this. And if you're a local filmmaker and you're trying to get something off the ground, you might want to contact Al. Because if you contact me, I'm just going to send it to him, and he's going to curate it anyway. He's going to make the decision because that's what we have hired him to do, So we're trying to do that. And again, my position is that we ought to be doing more of this in the rest of the paper at large too. I mean, we ought to be writing about people who are doing things like that. I think sometimes it falls to me to do it because other people have other things they have to cover, and there's never enough space, never enough time, and never enough people to go around to actually cover these things. But we're doing what we can, and so Al's a great addition to the staff. We're really, really happy to have him on board. And what else? What else? I just about said everything I need to do. I was going to go for 20 minutes, but it's only 15 minutes, and that's probably enough. We'll be back next week, and we'll have more, probably more like feature stuff. We'll have little film clips and things like that. This week is just, I've got to get this done. Got to get it done. It's done. And take care. We'll see you at Filmland, I hope. I hope you'll be at Filmland this week. If you are, come up and say hi, or don't. What. But take care. See you later.